Learning a new language can be a challenging yet rewarding experience. For many people around the world, English is often the language they choose to learn, whether for personal growth, professional development, or to connect with a broader global community. However, the journey from struggling with English to speaking it confidently is not always smooth. It requires dedication, patience, and a willingness to make mistakes and learn from them. When someone first begins to learn English, they may feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of new words, grammar rules, and pronunciations they need to master. It's common for learners to feel frustrated or discouraged, especially when they struggle to express themselves clearly or understand native speakers. However, it's important to remember that everyone starts somewhere, and with consistent effort and the right approach, progress is always possible. One of the first steps in overcoming the struggle with speaking English is to build a strong foundation in vocabulary and basic grammar. This involves learning common words and phrases that are used in everyday situations, as well as understanding how to construct simple sentences. Many learners find it helpful to start with practical, everyday vocabulary related to topics like food, family, work, and hobbies. By focusing on these areas, learners can quickly build up a useful set of words and phrases that they can apply in real-life situations. Grammar can be one of the most intimidating aspects of learning English for many students. The rules can seem complex and full of exceptions, which can lead to confusion and frustration. However, it's important to approach grammar learning in a structured and gradual manner. Starting with basic sentence structures and gradually moving on to more complex constructions can help learners build confidence and avoid feeling overwhelmed. It's also crucial to remember that even native speakers make grammatical mistakes, and perfection should not be the goal, especially in the early stages of learning. Pronunciation is another area that can cause significant struggle for English learners. The English language contains sounds that may not exist in a learner's native language, making it challenging to produce them accurately. Additionally, the relationship between spelling and pronunciation in English is not always straightforward, which can lead to confusion. To improve pronunciation, learners can practice listening to native speakers, repeating words and phrases, and focusing on specific sounds that they find difficult. Many learners find it helpful to use pronunciation guides, audio resources, or work with a tutor to receive feedback on their pronunciation. One of the most effective ways to move from struggling with English to speaking it confidently is through regular practice. This means actively seeking out opportunities to use the language, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Learners can start by having simple conversations with other English learners or language exchange partners. As they gain confidence, they can gradually challenge themselves by engaging in more complex discussions or speaking with native English speakers. Reading is another valuable tool for improving English skills. By reading a variety of materials, such as news articles, books, or blogs, learners can expand their vocabulary, improve their understanding of grammar and context, and gain exposure to different writing styles. Starting with simpler texts and gradually moving to more complex ones can help build confidence and comprehension skills. Listening practice is equally important in developing strong English skills. This can involve watching English language movies or TV shows, listening to podcasts, or engaging in conversations with native speakers. At first, learners may find it difficult to understand everything they hear, but with time and practice, their comprehension will improve. It's important to be patient and not get discouraged if understanding doesn't come immediately. Writing in English can also help reinforce language skills and provide a platform for practice without the pressure of immediate response that comes with speaking. Learners can start by keeping a journal in English, writing short stories, or even engaging in online forums or social media in English. This allows them to think carefully about their word choice and sentence structure, which can then translate into more confident speaking. As learners progress in their English journey, they often find that their confidence grows. However, it's common to experience setbacks or moments of doubt. It's important to remember that language learning is not a linear process, and progress can sometimes feel slow or uneven. Celebrating small victories, such as successfully ordering food in English or having a short conversation with a native speaker, can help maintain motivation and a positive attitude. One effective strategy for moving from struggling with English to speaking it confidently is immersion. This doesn't necessarily mean traveling to an English-speaking country, although that can be incredibly beneficial if possible. Immersion can also be created at home by surrounding oneself with English language input. This might involve changing phone and computer settings to English, listening to English music, or following English language social media accounts related to one's interests. Another helpful approach is to focus on learning English that is relevant to one's personal interests or professional field. For example, if someone is interested in cooking, they might focus on learning culinary vocabulary and phrases. This not only makes the learning process more engaging, but also provides practical, immediately useful language skills. It's also worth noting that making mistakes is an essential part of the language learning process. Many learners struggle with a fear of making errors, which can hold them back from practicing and improving. Embracing mistakes as learning opportunities and understanding that they are a natural part of the journey can help learners overcome this fear and make faster progress. To illustrate the journey from struggling with English to speaking it confidently, let's consider the story of Maria, a young woman from a small town in Brazil. Maria had always dreamed of traveling the world and pursuing a career in international business, but she knew that her limited English skills were holding her back. When Maria first started learning English in school, she found it incredibly challenging. The unfamiliar sounds, complex grammar rules, and vast vocabulary seemed overwhelming. She often felt frustrated during English classes, struggling to understand her teacher and feeling embarrassed when asked to speak in front of her classmates. Despite her difficulties, Maria was determined to improve. She began by focusing on building her vocabulary, creating flashcards with common English words and their Portuguese translations. Every day, she would review these cards, gradually increasing the number of words she knew. To practice pronunciation, Maria would repeat words and phrases she heard in English language pop songs, mimicking the singers' accents as best she could. As her vocabulary grew, Maria started to tackle grammar. She found a beginner's English grammar book and worked through it methodically, completing exercises and seeking explanations for concepts she didn't understand. When she encountered a particularly difficult grammar point, she would search for explanations online or ask her English teacher for help. Determined to immerse herself in the language as much as possible, Maria changed the language settings on her phone and social media accounts to English. At first, navigating these familiar apps in a foreign language was challenging, but she soon found that she was learning new words and phrases every day just by using her devices. To improve her listening skills, Maria began watching English-language TV shows with Portuguese subtitles. Initially, she relied heavily on the subtitles to understand what was happening. However, as time went on, she found herself understanding more and more of the dialogue without needing to read the translations. Despite her progress, Maria still felt nervous about speaking English. To overcome this, she joined an online language exchange community where she could practice speaking with other English learners and native speakers. Her first few conversations were awkward and filled with long pauses as she searched for the right words, but with each conversation, she grew more comfortable and confident. Maria also started keeping a journal in English, writing about her day and her thoughts. This practice helped her organize her ideas in English and gave her a safe space to experiment with the language without fear of judgment. As months passed, Maria noticed a significant improvement in her English skills. She could understand most of what she heard in English language media, and her conversations with language exchange partners became more fluid and natural. She even found herself thinking in English sometimes. The real test came when Maria applied for an internship at an international company in Sao Paulo. The application process required her to submit a resume and cover letter in English, as well as participate in an English language interview. Although nervous, Maria felt prepared thanks to her months of dedicated practice. During the interview, Maria was able to understand the interviewer's questions and respond confidently, drawing on the vocabulary and grammar she had worked so hard to learn. There were moments when she struggled to find the right word or stumbled over a complicated sentence, but she didn't let these small setbacks discourage her. Instead, she took a deep breath, smiled, and did her best to express her ideas clearly. To her delight, Maria was offered the internship. As she began working in an English-speaking environment, she found that her language skills improved even more rapidly. She was able to communicate effectively with her colleagues, and even gave a short presentation in English by the end of her internship. Looking back on her journey, Maria realized how far she had come from those early days of struggling in her English classes. While she knew she still had more to learn, she was proud of the progress she had made and confident in her ability to continue improving. Maria's story illustrates that the path from struggling with English to speaking it confidently is rarely quick or easy. It requires dedication, persistence, and a willingness to step out of one's comfort zone. However, with consistent effort and the right strategies, it is possible to overcome the initial struggles and achieve fluency in English. For anyone currently struggling with English, it's important to remember that every fluent speaker was once a beginner. By setting realistic goals, practicing regularly, and staying motivated, it's possible to transform the struggle into success. The key is to view each challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow, rather than as an insurmountable obstacle. With time and practice, what once seemed impossible can become achievable, opening up a world of new opportunities and connections.